Hello, my friends around the world. This is Xiomara Mayo Ingram, and here I am with your emotional cafe session. Today we have the topic denial. And when I am saying denial, I'm not referring to you maybe asking a friend out, inviting someone to hang out with you, or asking if someone would like to eat something. The kind of denial that I am referring is the defense mechanism that we all develop in order to avoid having to deal with some conflicts or problems or people or situations or pain. That's usually what we're trying to avoid. It shows an incapacity that we have to face or cope or deal with something at that specific time. There are sometimes we can see people that are constantly in denial, while others simply face denial at some specific moments or periods of their lives. Denial to accept something because maybe looking at it, accepting that it's there, is causing us some pain or some harm. Refuse the existence of that problem because it's too painful for us to acknowledge that we're going through it. Sometimes denial serves to think that we're fooling others when the truth is that we're only fooling ourselves. We're thinking that others don't know what we're hiding, but usually everybody's pretty much aware of what's going on with us and how it's affecting us but us. So denial is only fooling ourselves. It's ignoring or a way to reject the reality the way it is, and it's a strategy that sometimes we use to avoid conflict, to avoid a problem, to avoid the pain. So yes, denial is something that sometimes we get to kind of flip inside of us, kind of turn it on, because it's the best way that we can possibly deal with something. Although we're not really dealing, but that's what denial is about. Thinking that we're dealing with it, or that it's not really happening, so we don't have to deal with it. There are some phrases that I would like to share with you because I really think they reflect in a popular way, in a very common way to express it, what denial is about. One of them says that the more blind people are those who choose not to see. Those people that are blind by choice are those who are choosing not to see something. And it's just amazing how something can be happening right in front of our eyes and we simply refuse to look at it. You know how the little kids, when they're afraid of something, they tend to cover their eyes and they are expecting that whatever is there making them feel afraid or scared will vanish, will disappear, just simply because they're closing their eyes? Well, that's pretty much the bottom line when it comes to denial. If we have this sense that if we don't look at it directly, that if we don't acknowledge it, if we don't accept it, if we keep ignoring it, somehow it's going to disappear. Somehow it's going to solve itself and we won't have to do anything about it, when the truth is that it's totally the opposite. And the other phrase that I want to share with you today is the one that says, if you don't see it, you don't feel it. And what the phrase is actually trying to address is the fact that sometimes we have that lie in our minds that maybe if we don't see it, if we don't accept it, if we are not aware of that, we're not going to feel it. We're not going to feel the pain. We're not going to feel the anger that it causes us inside. And it's, again, it's a lie. It's a self lie that we tend to tell ourselves in order to feel better about the situation, when the truth is that as long as we don't face it, it will continue haunting us, it will continue affecting us, and it will continue with its impact in our lives. Now, what do we deny? And this is interesting because maybe you believe that you're not in denial, and again, this is something that I am bringing it up to you, not in a way to judge or in a way for you to feel bad about yourself, but just to realize, because sometimes we don't realize that we are experiencing something and that we are in full denial of it. So what do we usually deny? Sometimes we deny situations that are affecting us, situations of um, things that are happening in our lives that we're going through, and that somehow they are making us feel in a certain way. Everybody's seeing it, or our close friends or relatives can see that something is wrong, but we still try to pretend that it's not happening, that that's not the way that we feel, that that's not affecting us the way that it is. That's usually one of the things that we tend to deny. It happens when you're in a relationship and maybe you're struggling, maybe you're having problems, maybe the relationship is about to actually end, but you still want to pretend that everything is fine, that you love each other, that you're having a perfect relationship, when everybody else can actually tell that that's not the story. Also, another common thing that we tend to deny is our feelings and emotions. Sometimes we are so afraid of what's going to happen if we let our emotions show, if we let our feelings come out, if we share those feelings with someone, what that person, if it's going to take advantage of us, if it's going to betray our trust. So sometimes we feel in a certain way and we deny it. We say that we're not feeling that way. So sometimes we're upset and people can see it all over our face, and they will ask, are you upset? Did you get upset with what I say? And we go like, no, I'm fine. It's okay. I'm okay. And it's just a way not to show exactly what we're feeling, because we feel vulnerable and we don't know how to deal and how to manage that inside of us. Another very common thing that we deny is an addiction. The addict, the person suffering from the addiction disease, tends to deny its disease, his or her disease. But also, when it's us having to deal with an addict in our family system or really close to us, we tend to deny it. We tend to think that it's not a problem, that they're going to be able to handle it, that they're going to be able to quit anytime because they love us and because we're helping them. And we have this fantasy in our minds that maybe this addiction is going to simply disappear at any moment or maybe stop. So an addiction is something that we tend to definitely to deny. Also, another thing we deny is a behavior. And I want to make, I kind of want to address the fact that I am referring to behaviors that not necessarily are an addiction, but are still annoying, or maybe they are causing problems, or maybe they are having some sort of reactions from the others because of the kind of behavior that we're having. For instance, when we are too proud or arrogant and someone kind of mention it to us, we'll go like, oh no, I'm not, and we go denying it, but we have this attitude that really shows that we're really being arrogant or full of pride. So a behavior might be something, or maybe it has to do with a behavior from a loved one, and we tend to deny it or minimize it or justify it. Also, we tend to deny how we feel about a loss. And here I want to refer to two specific ways that we can lose someone. It can be through breaking up a relationship and then we're in pain. So we are still expecting this person to come back to us. We want the relationship back and we are in denial. We don't want to accept that it's over. But there's also when we lose someone because this person passed away, this person died, regardless the way it died. But we feel this huge pain and we refuse to accept the fact that this person is no longer going to be in our lives, and we just hold on to that denial, not wanting to accept that the person is gone. So those are usually the common things that we tend to deny. Now, let me tell you something about denial, because denial, it's something that we can do in a conscious way. It can be consciously or it can be unconsciously. The conscious denial is the one that we choose to have because we want to postpone, or we don't want to have to deal with that, specifically that, at that moment in our lives. That's conscious denial. And sometimes we do that. I would dare to say everybody do that, because again, it's just a mechanism of defense that we all tend to have. So the unconscious denial, however, it's something that we might be doing without even being fully aware that we're in denial. And the difference is that when someone kind of addresses it to us and show us that we are in denial, we're humble enough to admit it and make the changes and deal with the situation or deal with whatever it is that we need to deal. That's the two differences when it comes to consciously denial and unconsciously denial in our lives. Now, denial has quite an impact in our lives. It has its consequences, and it is important that we know it. One of these consequences is that we get totally disconnected from reality. We disconnect from reality because since we don't want to deal with reality, we don't want to accept that that's happening, we isolate ourselves and we become very disconnected from that, our real lives or whatever is going on. Also, the emotional pain that we have inside of us is what we call the emotional misery. It's there, it's affecting us, it's making us feel sad, maybe low, maybe even a little depressed, but we don't want to admit that we're feeling this way because of the situation that we're trying to deny, because accepting it, admitting it, will imply that we are no longer in denial, and again we will have to do something about it. And remember that that's what denial is about, not having to do anything. So I just put it aside, pretending not to be happening. And also another consequence is the physical pain, feeling so tired, feeling that our body is aching, having some stomach issues, having migraines, all these different physical issues that we tend to have with our health. Sometimes they have to do with the fact that we are not addressing what we need to address, and therefore our body starts reacting in a natural way to it. So my dear friends, that's what I have to share about denial, and I really hope it helped you identify if you are in denial. Now you know that the whole theme for this month is, our choices. The fact that we get to choose our reactions, we get to choose our responses, we get to choose what we do with what is affecting us. So if at this moment you have identified that you've been living in denial or that you have been avoiding to deal with something that is affecting your life, you have a choice to make, and you need to ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? Because let me tell you this, my friend, it's not going to disappear. It's not going to solve itself. It takes our own responsibility to assume the situation, assume the problem, face it, deal with it, and move on. And the only way to do that is by looking at it and accepting it's there. And then we can ask, what is it that I need to do? Do I need professional help? Do I need to do something about it? But while you keep denying it, it's simply going to continue affecting your life. And remember, that's what Emotional Cafe is about, helping you conquer a better life for yourself. I want to remind you, my name is Xiomara Mayo Ingram, and I also offer individual assistance for those of you who think you can move a little bit faster or that you need a personalized assistance to help you with the issues affecting you. So just send me an email and let me know you're interested, and personally I'll be contacting you and coordinating a Skype session. It doesn't matter where you are around the world. We'll coordinate a session that will fit you best at the most convenient time for you and me. So again, I'll see you next week, and thanks again for allowing me to come to your hearts, to come to your lives with my Emotional Cafe session. I'll see you next week.